Okay, so they actually went there. Nate Jacobs is gone. Jacob Elordi's character is officially out of the picture, and the way the episode handles it, absolutely wild. A rattlesnake at his own construction site. This show seriously never chooses the normal option. Welcome back. If you're new here, I break down Euphoria every week, and we are now one episode away from the finale, titled, In God We Trust. And after everything that happened in tonight's episode, I'm genuinely stressed. Not excited stressed. Full panic stressed. Alright, let's get into it. This is episode 7, Rain or Shine, the penultimate episode of what might actually be the final season of the show. And there is so much happening here. The episode opens with Rue narrating, "If there's a beginning, there must be an end." And then we jump into a full flashback centered around Ali. Coleman Domingo finally gets a full spotlight episode after being Rue's NA sponsor for years. And somehow the episode also brings in Natasha Lyonne, playing a woman Ali meets during one of the darkest periods of his life. The guest casting on this show continues to be ridiculous in the best way possible. Ali's life is completely falling apart. He's cheating on his wife, arguing in front of his daughters, spiraling deeper into addiction. Then something terrible happens off-screen, and he wakes up in a hospital recovering from major surgery. That becomes his turning point. When a nurse offers him morphine, he refuses it. That's the moment he decides he wants to change. From there, we watch him rebuild his life through recovery meetings and sponsorship work. The episode even revisits the COVID era, showing how isolation affected people struggling with addiction. Ali keeps losing people around him, and Rue describes the notebook he carries as basically a reminder of how addiction stories often end. And honestly, this whole sequence feels extremely intentional. The show is very clearly drawing parallels between Ali and Rue. Ali survived, Ali kept going, and now the question becomes, can Rue do the same? Rue is staying with Lexi now, and she's fully in her spiritual awakening phase. She starts opening up about everything she's been experiencing lately, including her visions and all the chaos she's been caught up in. Lexi understandably thinks some of this sounds completely unbelievable, and one of her responses is genuinely one of the funniest lines of the season. But the conversation turns serious fast. Lexi accuses Rue of slipping backward again, while Rue fires back that Lexi has been judging her the entire time. Then Lexi says she understands why their mom has pulled away emotionally. That one hurts. Rue storms outside, notices movement behind Cassie's blinds, knocks on the door, and we cut inside to reveal someone standing there holding a silenced gun. And then the show just moves on without explaining it, which is honestly terrifying. Rue eventually goes to Ali and finally tells him everything she's been hiding. And Ali doesn't explode or lecture her. Instead, he reminds her that material things mean nothing compared to the people you care about, and that the reason he's still alive is because he wants to help people whenever he can. Their conversation also leans heavily into the Moses parallels the season has been building toward. Ali reminds Rue that Moses heard God's voice too, but never actually made it into the promised land himself. They make a plan. Ali will help protect Rue's mom, Rue will finish one final dangerous task, and afterwards she wants to leave for Texas and start over. But the next morning, Ali wakes up and Rue is already gone. All that's left is a post-it note saying, "Forgive me." Yeah, this show knows exactly what it's doing emotionally. So Cassie's situation somehow gets even messier this week. Earlier in the season, she got pressured for money connected to her online content history, but now things escalate hard because her account is already deleted permanently. Meanwhile, the TV network tied to LA Knights decides they no longer want controversy attached to her name and removes her character from the project. And the worst part? Lexi ends up being the one who has to tell her. Meanwhile, Maddie's own career situation is collapsing too, so everyone is basically spiraling at the same time. When Maddie visits Cassie, the confrontation immediately explodes into chaos. Emotions are high, friendships are destroyed, and then Maddie suddenly pivots into strategy mode to help Cassie rebuild her image online. The plan actually works, temporarily. But then the episode reveals one of the most absurdly disturbing visual details this show has ever done, involving Nate's severed finger being hidden in Cassie's apartment during a completely normal interaction. I cannot believe this scene made it into television. Later, Maddie approaches Alamo for financial help, casually mentions Rue's strange behavior and federal connections, and you can immediately tell Alamo realizes something important. He doesn't react outwardly, which somehow makes it scarier. So here's where everything goes completely off the rails. Nate has been hidden underground at his unfinished construction site because of debts and bad decisions finally catching up to him. Then a rattlesnake finds its way into the space where he's trapped. Nate realizes what's happening too late, gets bitten, and the episode fully confirms his death afterward. And honestly, as over-the-top as the actual setup sounds, it weirdly fits the themes of his character arc. Nate spent years controlling and terrifying everyone around him, and this season has mostly shown him losing control piece by piece until his own choices finally bury him. Literally. His downfall ends up reflecting everything he built his life around. Power, image, money, and control collapsing in on themselves. But removing Nate from the story this close to the finale creates a massive shift in energy, because now all of that tension gets redirected somewhere else. And that somewhere else is Rue. The episode closes with Rue beginning her dangerous undercover mission. Meanwhile, Faye, who has quietly been trying to help her, reveals information about a hidden safe that supposedly contains enough money for Rue to escape everything. But when they open it, instead of cash, they find stacks of IDs belonging to multiple young women. And instantly the tone changes. Faye panics, tells Rue to forget what she saw, put everything back, and leave immediately. Rue refuses. Then Faye starts screaming, alerting everyone in the house, and the episode ends right there. So now let's connect everything. Alamo almost certainly suspects Rue is cooperating with federal authorities. Rue discovered something inside that safe that points toward a much bigger operation happening behind the scenes. Faye unintentionally exposes Rue in the worst possible environment imaginable. And the entire season has repeatedly connected Rue's story to Moses, someone who gets close to freedom and salvation, but never fully reaches it. The finale being titled In God We Trust suddenly feels a lot more ominous. I am extremely worried about Rue. Rain or Shine works as a classic penultimate episode because it closes major storylines while simultaneously pushing every remaining conflict into absolute chaos before the finale. The Ali backstory completely redefines his relationship with Rue. Nate's ending, as dramatic as it is, feels strangely fitting for where his character was headed, and the final cliffhanger leaves Rue in one of the most dangerous situations we've seen her in since the earlier seasons. If Rue doesn't make it to Texas, I'm going to need emotional recovery time. Episode 8, In God We Trust, airs next Sunday on HBO. I'll be here for the breakdown, probably stressed out all over again. If you enjoyed this recap, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff, and let me know in the comments, do you think Rue survives the finale? Because I genuinely need to know. I'm not the only one nervous going into next week.